Hey guys, so basically this is what if the mask was in Young Justice. Now basically I did put a commentary up saying that I was gonna do this what if like a month ago or probably like a couple weeks ago, and I did upload a second one with a title asking you guys which season. One guy replied, season one, and another guy replied like do two, weirdly like a lot like, or another girl. Now some of your danger. Now basically somebody basically listed down, or not really listed down, they just had a bunch like a one-way conversation with them talking to me saying please do season two. And now season two is a lot more interesting than season one because season two has a lot more characters and a lot more of a based off alien technology and stuff like that, but the mask is more mythical. But let's just say, yeah, because like that guy like put a lot of effort on me trying to do season two. So I'm gonna be doing season two. So yeah. So basically, guys, this is what if the mask was in Young Justice. Now I'm not gonna be starting on episode one of season two of Young Justice. I'm gonna be starting off somewhere, and I'm gonna be starting on I'm gonna be starting on episode 11 of Young Justice season two. But basically, this will mainly be focusing on, how the mask would appear in the world, and, well, let's get started. So, we start off in episode 11, season 2 of Young Justice, basically seeing that some sort of alien creature and this robot is talking about the Justice League, or members of the Justice League, saying that they're very, formidable bounties and, fighters, and aliens smiling at this. And presumably, at this point, because, like, how I do these Young Justice What Is, I just watch the episode all the way through, and then, well, I watch the episode, pause it, then do a little bit of recording, pause my recording, and watch the What If. I mean, the Young Justice TV show. Basically, yeah, so we see that it's some sort of bounty hunter or some sort of warrior. Now we get skipped back to Earth, and basically it's going to be an extra scene. Now, before we get skipped to Adam talking to the Reach, we actually get skipped to a scene before that and seeing a teenager with red hair. Now, basically, this teenager, what was it? This teenager, Scratchy, this teenager will be a blackhead. He'll just have normal hair. But basically, this teenager, no, he'll be a redhead. Basically, this teenager would be, the great grandson of the original, would be, was it the ancestor of the first user to use the mask. Now, basically, most people think the first user to use the mask was, I think it was the guy that pretty much, what was it? That that comedian played in the Mask movie, and that was a classic. But basically, that Mask character, the first user to use the mask, like in ancient times, not the latest, most famous user of the mask. Basically, that user of the mask, the first human to ever put the mask on and use it, basically in like medieval times or like in ancient times, as soon as Loki made it and imbued his power in it, or it was just a mystical mask. I'm not really going to be I'm not going to really be specific on the origin of this mask. The mask of the origin is kind of blurred away in the grand scheme of the mask's origin. But whatever. So basically, the user of the mask would be the great 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 ancestor of the original user of the mask, the first human to ever touch the mask. Now that human would lose the mask or just give it away because he would think that his power is too powerful for him. So he would go on and actually become, he'll have his own family. Now basically, that family will eventually evolve into a teenage boy named Jack. Now basically, Jack would be a redhead teenager about the same height as Impulse, a little bit taller, but who'll be about the same height as Impulse. Kind of look like Impulse, but just with like brighter red hair, and also just brown eyes. No, yeah, brown eyes. Basically, him having like bright red hair, not like bright red hair, but like in the between of like orange with a little bit of blood like red. But his hair, he would be like a ginger with like orange hair, not red hair, kind of like Wally West, but the same hair color as Wally West. And he would be about the same height as Impulse, and have the same type of build as Impulse, but a little bit more. What was it? A little bit more taller, about like about 3 inches taller than Impulse. And he would basically, look like an average teenager in Young Justice art style. The kid or Jack would look something like this. He would have this type of hairstyle, just with more of a oranger, type hair color, and it'll basically just look like this with yellow eyes. Now his yellow eyes would just like be like a birth defect or something, because the first user of the mask, his DNA was slightly changed, so the eye color in his family was extremely, unique, but nothing special. Now basically, Jack went through life being an average teenager, doing average teenager things, but being very, very weird sense of humor. Being, really liking the old Looney Tune cartoons, and really, be obsessing with if that Looney Tune stuff was actually possible. But him not really going into that. Him being a skateboarding geek and stuff like that. Now he wouldn't be a geek. He would be like average Joe, kind of like the same type of Peter Parker as in Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker type of personality. So he would be, not a nerd, but he'll be picked on a little bit. And basically Jack would have been going through life being an average teenager until about, episode 11. And going through his life being a major fan of the Justice League. And one day when Jack was walking down the street, Jack heard some sort of noise. Now he saw a truck drive off and a solid truck a museum truck drive off, and out of the truck bin, something small like a long package fell out one of the holes on the back of the truck and fell into the river. Jack looked down, and Jack was very, more of an adventurous type, and saw that it fell right in near the shore of, the pretty much beach, because it was a bridge that the truck was going over a beach. So he went under the pretty much bridge on the beach area, the sand area, and grabbed the box. The box was long, kind of like a piano type of long box. He took it out and he opened it up, seeing a mannequin wearing some sort of mask. He took the mask off, throwing the box back into the ground, and seeing a smaller box around the mask. He opened it up because the mask box was clear, and he put it in his backpack because he was, just got back off of pretty much, night school, because he was failing a little bit of his classes, but he was pretty smart, so he wasn't really failing, but he was failing one class in particular, history. So basically, Jack looked at the mask and saw that it was glowing, and it was speaking to him, pretty much urging him to put it on. He heard a beeping, and pretty much one of the men on the highway said to get out there, kid. The wave's coming in. Basically, Jack went off, putting the mask and his backpack back in the pretty much box, and went back home. Now his house looked around the area of the Hall of Justice. So basically, Jack opened up the box and looked at it closely and took the mask out. He looked at the mask with intent and basically started to research it. He took a picture of it and tried to Google it on Lens, and just saw pictures of masks, nothing similar. He saw something on Wikipedia saying that this was an ancient mask, pretty much talking about how it holds the power of a Loki and other things like that. But eventually it stopped right when it pretty much came to what the effects of the user hold the mask. Now, none of the Justice League or anybody in the DC universe knew about the mask at this point. Only ancient people, pretty much, what was it? I think it was, I don't know his name. The guy that's the immortal guy in DC Comics, I do not know, is Kraven the Hunter, or, I don't know. But basically, he would look at the mask more, and eventually would have put it on as jokes in front of the mirror in his, pretty much bashed him in his room, and it would have stuck on his face and started to change him, pretty much, started to change him. Now, Jack already had a very, very wide and very, pretty much powerful a very powerful imagination, and, pretty much, well, comedy, or pretty much, or pretty much a sense of humor. Now, basically, the mask warped around Jack's face, turning him into the mask. So basically, Jack looked at his face, and the mask started to, have a little bit of a inpush in, Jack's inner thoughts about, Jack being kind of, Jack's violent thoughts popped in and became more stronger, and also his personality became more stronger, the mask focusing on Jack's already very powerful, pretty much sense of humor and his imagination. Now, the mask's gonna have really not a whole entire control over Jack's mind, because Jack's mind, or Jack's family's mind, was warped enough since their great ancestors that started their family, basically, well, his mind and his body did pretty much evolve to handle the mask. So basically, Rex had some control over the mask, like any other mask user, but a little bit more. So basically, Jack looked around and started to experiment. He went outside and started to experiment, pretty much taking out Looney Tune guns and started to just shoot around. Now, basically, he would have started to do more Looney Tune stuff, like flattening himself, fly like a bird, transform into, pretty much a green version of Bugs Bunny, and started to basically take out mallets and crushing cans. Now, basically, he would have seen this and not that funny, and his powers would have not been that strong. But basically, he went back into his room and started to try to find something else about the mask. Now, the mask instantly gave Jack a whole entire. The mask pretty much projected all the powers of the mask into Jack's head. Jack, knowing everything the mask can do, as long as the user is, sees that as funny. Now, basically, the mask's abilities it basically can do anything. That's what I'm trying to say. The mask is literally gives the person the power of a god. Basically, the mask can do anything cartoon related or Looney related, and Looney Tunes can basically do anything, and they can survive anything. That's literally what Bugs Bunny said in the Space Jam movie. I'm a tune. I can survive anything. That's literally what tunes are. They can survive anything. They're basically immortal. So basically, he's like, because the mask, he doesn't take damage. He just says no to it. The mask doesn't even need to regenerate, and if he does want to regenerate, he can, because he has unlimited power of all sorts. Only weakness of the mask is if the user feels like he has to take off the mask, the user can take off the mask willingly, not through psychic abilities or anything. The user has to willingly take the mask off. So yeah, so basically, the mask. I don't even want to be switching the powers of the mask. Now the mask can be psychically, pretty much. What was it like? Kind of like force, push towards the user's hand. So if the mask user wears the mask longer than like a month, like a week or so, the user can telepathically or pretty much psychically, pretty much magnetize the mask to his face, kind of like Iron Man with his armor. So it can come straight towards him, even if the mask is like in his house and he's like a mile away in his house. So basically, Jack started to him knowing all the abilities the mask can do, and basically the short term is that the mask can do anything a cartoon can do, or do anything, as long as it's funny. I mean, like, literally anything. He can snap his fingers and literally take out the whole entire existence of everything. He can literally grab somebody's soul from their body if he thinks that's funny. So it's mainly just up to the person's, pretty much humor that makes the user of the mask powerful. Now, basically, Jack puts on an old jacket that his grandfather had, and his grandfather originally was, the famous user of the mask. Well, his grandfather wasn't the famous user of the mask. He was a friend of the original user of the mask, but whatever. So basically, not the original user, not the original user, just the user that played the mask in the movie. So basically, he put on an old jacket resembling a outfit like this. So we've been looking around his room, and he would have seen a old suit in his dad's room. Now his dad and mom would be very, would have been middle class, so they would be living in a pretty, outstandish penthouse, 2 stories, and his dad and mom were very more or less like a Aunt May type, Uncle Ben type of parents. They were really kind and really humble and stuff like that, and mature and stuff like that, whatever. And basically, Jack grabbed his dad's suit. Basically, his dad said that you can wear the suit anytime you want, just don't mess it up. So basically, him going back to that flashback of his dad telling him that. He puts the mask on, Looney Tune style, twisting into the closet and coming out with the suit on. Him wearing a yellow suit with the hat on. Now he, skedaddled out of the room and out of the house, or the apartment, basically looking around. Now, at that moment, that's where the Justice League would be attacked. Now, at this point, it wouldn't really be the Justice League. Pretty much, Jack, at this point, all of this would be happening, like, in the daytime. So, Jack would be basically walking around and started to, cause a little bit of mayhem. Eventually, he would have walked around, and at this point, it would be, like, early in the day before the Justice League would have been basically, talking to the Reach. And this would be before Impulse, Blue Beetle, and the rest of the metas would be, waiting in the waiting room. Now, basically, the mask would have been, making a rampage. This would basically be like a day before all of this, before episode 11. So basically, he would be making mayhem and started to make a ruckus more and more. Eventually, the Justice League, or one of the members of the Justice League, at least Superman, would have stopped the mask. Now, it would take at least like 6 hours for him to actually stop the mask. But eventually, Superman found out who the boy was, because he did see a little bit of red hair through the mask. And basically, he tried to, locate. It wasn't that many, redhead teenage boys in, Metropolis. So basically, he pretty much, located his father and his mother, and, he gave up the mask. Now, the mask was actually attached to him because the mask felt more of a stronger connection with any of his users ever before with Jack. So the mask was connected to Jack. So every time Jack gave the mask up, the mask found its way back to Jack by some sort of, coincidence, or just straight up just flying towards Jack's house. Now, basically, the Justice League thought this was a meta ability, and eventually, tried to recruit Jack, because they found that he was way too dangerous just to have the mask and not be, under surveillance. So they tried to pit him in the meta thing alongside the other meta humans with Impulse, Blue Beetle, and pretty much Beast Boy. Now, basically, Jack would have walked into the waiting room alongside Blue Beetle, Impulse, and everybody else, basically them seeing the mask, basically being like a type of necklace thing around Jack's pretty much neck. Basically, Jack having it, like that, and basically, trying to have it, too outstanding. Now, Jack would have some sort of pretty much outfit, kind of like this, just with that shirt on, basically just having it on, not really being a chef that much. Jack knowing how to cook, but not being like a chef. So Jack would sit down in the room with everybody else, and basically, Impulse would have asked Jack, who are you? Basically, Jack would have said, I'm a new meta, I guess. Basically, him saying that my abilities are kind of more, OP. Basically, him saying, I'm the green, mask guy. Basically, everybody saying, you're a big head? Now, basically, the internet made a name for, Jack. Basically, Jack saying, I prefer the name The Mask. And basically, Impulse says, you're the guy that took down, or almost took down Superman. Until Superman, brought your parents in. Now, basically, Jack said, yeah. Basically, him, talking to them, and them saying, you're, like, really powerful. We saw you do crazy stuff. Like, what's your power? And one of the kids asked, basically, more or less Static Shock asked that. Now, basically, he would have said the mask gives you the ability to basically do anything. And I mean literally anything, as long as it's funny to me. So basically, so later on, basically we see Blue Beetle trying to stop Impulse from getting a little bit frisky because Impulse is like shaking his hands at super speed, pretty much being nervous, and Blue Beetle stopping him. Now basically, pretty much Ty is pretty much pushed out or like walks out the waiting room, and Mitchell's or Future Static Shock is sent in to talk with Black Canary. Now basically, Mask looks around, basically talking to Lagoon Boy. Lagoon Boy talking to him in the background, and basically, what was it? Mitchell walking into the room. So basically, Blue Beetle tries to go out and would not really not go out. Pretty much, he steps up and says Ty's name, but pretty much the Scarab reminding him that Ty doesn't know us in this form. Basically, Jaime's turns Ty into time to stretch. Basically, saying I gotta stay limber, sitting back down nervously, and the rest of the people just looking at him crazy, including Jack. Now, basically, we switch back to Mitchell talking to Black Canary, and everything goes exactly the same. Now, basically, after Mitchell's done talking to Black Canary, we get switched to basically Superboy and the rest of the team. Now, after Nightwing, Bumblebee, and the rest of the team pretty much make their new digs and their new pretty much base of operations. And at this point, you guys probably say this gone too quickly. Now, basically, Mask is kind of like a new intern on the Young Justice, so he's going to be on some missions. But that's enough of that. So after Nightwing and the rest of the team find their new digs on their new headquarters, basically, the Hall of Justice is pretty much, captured. Not really captured, just, locked in by some sort of force field around them after the robot from the beginning shows up saying that you are my prisoners. And pretty much starts, pretty much conversate with them. So basically, we get switched to, pretty much the senator or pretty much the head of the hive talking to, Captain Atom. Now, before that happens, basically pretty much Captain Marvel, Satana, Bumblebee, and Superboy and the rest and a couple others were at the Hall of Justice as pretty much the alien attacked or tried to prove himself as a champion or whatever. But basically, we get switched on to the A team, the teenagers. But before that, basically, Superboy and the rest of the people in the Hall of Justice were still fighting the pretty much alien boy. Now, basically, then, finally, now after we get switched back to the A team with Impulse walking out of the room and Lagoon Boy walking back in the room as, to talk to Black Canary. Now, basically, Impulse sits down and the Mask sits closer towards Blue Beetle saying, so you're Blue Beetle. I've heard that the Scarab gives you your abilities. Me too. An item gives mind powers too. Basically, Jaime is being kind of confused, but saying, okay, look, you might be on the team, but let's just not, come to friends just yet. Now, basically, Impulse walks out, sitting next to Blue Beetle. Basically, Blue Beetle grabs Impulse and walks off to a corner and asking Impulse that you tell her anything about the whole entire, me turning evil and everything. Now, basically, he says, of course I did. And pretty much him being kind of shocked, but him saying it's a joke. I didn't say anything. And by all we know, the League finding out is the reason you became bad. So I guess we say nothing. Now, basically, they talk. And Jack hears a little bit of this, but doesn't really see it. Or doesn't really, come to clutch with it very much. But basically, we switch back to basically... at the Hall of Justice, where Superboy is getting his butt whooped by this alien guy. Now, after, we get the scene from the Hall of Justice, we get sent back to pretty much the waiting room with basically Blue Beetle talking to Black Canary. So basically, what was it? So basically, Jaime talks to Black Canary, and after Black Canary, pretty much says you're the greatest, weapon against the Hive. I mean, the Reach, basically talking to him, and us getting switched back to the pretty much Hall of Justice, where the Guardian shows up, or Blue Beetle's boyfriend shows up, being the Guardian. Now, so basically, basically we get switched back to, the Guardian fighting the alien guy, and him just pulling stuff straight from his, just pulling stuff out of nowhere. See that he has all these abilities, like he's the guardian of the earth or something, like some sort of weird stuff. The most hilarious scene in the episode by far. Basically throughout the fight, Satara eventually, gains consciousness back up as, basically Megan tells, pretty much her to step back in it, and she pretty much reverses the power that the alien uses against, them to pretty much neutralize them back on it. But they don't know how long it's gonna last. Superboy takes this opportunity to straight up just start dogging on the alien. Now, after that whole time, them trying to defeat the alien and them succeeding, the rest of the league showing up. Well, not the rest of the league. A couple other league members show up with the Hive or the Reach. Basically, the Reach taking some of its technology to nullify the shield and basically, being kind of complicated and them having the whole entire same talk. Now, gets switched to Martian Manhunter in his human form, coming to an old woman's pretty much house. We see him walk into the door, but it actually is shown to be Megan, actually. And Megan de-transforms into her human form and goes to the sink to wash her hands. Then she fills it up with she fills up some water, and sorry, I can't really talk anymore. She takes a water cup or pretty much a sprinkler or a pretty much a rainer. So I don't even know what they do, like a feeder to plants for water. I don't even know what it's called, a sprinkler. She fills up with water and waters her plants. But before that, she gets a call from Lagoon Boy, but she hangs up or says decline as Lagoon Boy is on hold trying to call Megan. Superboy shows up at the front door trying to talk to Megan, and Superboy is let in, but after that, we get skipped on to basically Nightwing, Black Canary, Captain Atom, and two other scientists talking about the Reach. Now, they also talked about metahumans, or pretty much the metagene. Now, basically, them actually not really knowing about metahumans, because last time, the whole entire, pretty much, what was it? My Danny Phantom what if, back then, I actually didn't know the Young Justice didn't know about metas just yet, but let's just say they just thought Danny Phantom had powers, and also, for this reason, let's just say, pretty much, they just think Mask has the ability to control this item by some sort of metagene at this point. So basically, they start talking more and more about this situation, and so basically, Blue Beetle walks up in there and pretty much says, and confesses to them saying about in the future, I betray humanity, and basically, well, I turn on Earth and pretty much rule it. Basically saying whatever it takes, take off this scarab, pointing towards it, and this we get switched off, and that's the end of the episode. So we get switched on to episode 12, and episode 12 is going to be the last episode I'm going to be doing on this part 1. So let's get into it, guys. We get switched on to pretty much Captain Atom. So basically, last episode I was, that I don't even know what his name was, the silver guy with the red gloves or whatever, the silverish guy, episode 12. I completely didn't even know his name, and I thought his name was Captain Atom, but I guess no. I think it was Microman or Adam. I don't really know what name he is, but basically Bumblebee and Captain Atom, or I don't even know, Molecule Man or whatever. I don't even know their name. I don't even know his name is. Basically, they go into Jaime's pretty much bloodstream, trying to pretty much get the scarab off of him. Now, to no avail, and they fell, badly. Captain Atom or Molecule Man, whatever, he says that basically the scarab is too bonded with you. It's pretty much defenses are too thorough. I don't think that scarab is never coming off, at least when you're still alive. Now we get switched on to basically Gordon Grevfry, or G. Gordon, basically talking about the Justice League and just spitting straight up uncoordinated facts and trash, kind of like just being a DC ripoff or a Marvel ripoff of pretty much what was it? Basically just, Commissioner Gordon. Not Commissioner Gordon, I don't even know his name. The guy that always talks trash about Spider-Man. That Spider-Man should let die, but that's just not Spider-Man's character, but whatever. So basically, now we get switched off to Jay Gordon, seeing that Nightwing was watching it, and telling the team that we're trying to, do some Reach activity and trying to see what the Reach is up with, doing a partnership with Lex Luthor. Now, basically, this team comprised of Tim Drake, Robin, Blue Beetle, Impulse, and Jack. And this being Alpha Squad. So, Impulse, Blue Beetle, Lagoon Boy, Tim Drake, Robin, pretty much other two. Basically, Jack is there as well. Now, pretty much Nightwing pulls Jack aside, saying that this is your first mission ever, but you have a lot of potential and powers. So don't put that over your head, and also try not to go overboard. I have a lot of faith in you. Basically, patting Jack on the back, saying to don't mess this up. Now Tim Drake is given the pretty much the leadership, saying that you're running Alpha. So basically, the people that are put on the Alpha Squad is Impulse, Blue Beetle, Tim, and Arsenal and Jack. So basically, Arsenal shows up from the shadows, basically, talking to them, saying, so, why are we meeting up at this junk place? Pretty much Nightwing saying that since the cave and the League have been compromised, the cave and the log have been compromised, there's no other place to go. Now, basically, Impulse, I know, and Arsenal asks, what about, the Watchtower? It's national news now. And basically, Nightwing saying that, only senior members of the league, only senior members of the team and leaguers are only allowed on the Hall of Justice. The Watchtower, and that. Basically, and pretty much, Arsenal saying, I'm glad I know where we stand. Basically giving Nightwing an ominous look. Now we get switched off of there, and basically Jack and the rest of the team get there. Now Jack is wearing just normal clothes, kind of like, pretty much Jack wears an outfit kind of like this, but just with black Air Force Ones, and basically stuff like that, but like spray painted green black Air Force Ones or something like that. White Air Force Ones. So basically, Jack and the rest of the team get an internship, well, not really internship, just a see-through of the Reaches and Lex Luthor's pretty much collaboration area. Now basically they talk about, or the pretty much Guide Woman talks about the Reaches and Lex Luthor's pretty much the Reaches farm community and growing food for the future. Basically them showing more and saying that you can have any fruits you want on this table and try it yourself. Basically, they try some fruits. Now, basically, pretty much Blue Beetle and pretty much Robin bag and tag two of the tomatoes, putting them in their pockets, basically seeing that Impulse just straight up just bites into an apple alongside Jack. Jack and Impulse looking at them saying, what? Basically saying this is a good apple. Or more or less Jack saying that this is a good freaking apple. Basically, Robin says time for a bathroom break after asking a question to a guy lady about what's in those, pink tubes around the pretty much, grass area. Or the pretty much, the facility. Her saying, blah, blah, blah. And, nutrients and stuff like that. With a little bit of Lex/Reach, love. Now, basically, they go to the bathroom, but Impulse and, Jack thinking that they're actually just going to a bathroom break, but pretty much Blue Beetle grabbing both of them, saying, are you dumb? Talking about getting dressed, bro. Now we get switched on to basically them getting, pretty much we get switched on to basically them, and we get switched to the light, talking to Sportsmaster, and pretty much them having a little bit of a, mission, but us getting switched back to the A-Team, the Young Justice. Now, basically, Robin, Impulse, and Arsenal, and the rest of the team get out, getting dressed up, and just, Jack having... So, basically, this would be Jack's outfit. Now, Jack would be a huge fan of Bruce Lee, secretly, so he would design his outfit to look just like Bruce Lee's, jumpsuit, but with a little bit of extra padding underneath the suit. But him not know, but him, just putting it there. But him knowing that he doesn't really need bulletproof anything, cause like the mask literally gives him impervious to any type of attacks ever. So basically, he puts on the mask, and everybody looks at him, and the mask, pretty much transforms into the mask. And basically, he says, "Well, let's go." Basically, they come out and pretty much, what was it? Night. Pretty much, Robin says, "You're in the wrong mode, Jack." Jack, and what do you mean? In a more of a sarcastic tone. And basically, he says, "You're stealth mode," and pretty much the mask transforms the suit into a black version, with the black lines in the jumpsuit being yellow now. So basically, he says, "Is that better?" And basically, he says, "Change the yellow lines." The yellow lines turn to a darker shade of gray. Now, basically, they get ready and they won't get in stealth mode. Now, they make a plan to basically, get some samples and then get out, not to make big of a scene and not to, try to alert any of the, security guards at all. Then a mask walks behind them with no, rush or, pumps on his, brakes. Not him trying to catch up with them. And basically, he, walks up behind them later after they get to the pipelines to basically get some of the samples of the pretty much stuff they're pumping into the plants. Now basically, Blue Beetle looks at the stuff and says, "That's your sedative right there." The pretty much, the pink crystal things. Basically, Nightwing, Robin pretty much, sneaks off, grabbing some of the samples and putting them in, pretty much a bag and getting enough samples and dips. Now, basically, Nightwing says 2 guards, 1 door, and 1, door hack. Home free, guys. Basically, about the dip. Pretty much, Arsenal stops him saying, "Wait for it." And pretty much, a explosion just straight up goes off. And basically, Nightwing gets angry, yelling at Impulse, saying, "You blew a lab?" Basically, Mask laughing, saying, "Time to get ready." Basically, him just summoning huge, ironically, just straight up, impossibly huge cannons or guns, and just starts blasting away at all the goons or everything. Now he just makes a huge, guns ablazing, ginormous, guns just in his hands. Just summons them as his hands. And towards the guards. The guards stop, see that the guns are so big, and then he pulls the trigger and sees it's just bang signs come out of them. And he throws the guns at them, saying, "Let's move it." Basically, him super speeding, pretty much Roadrunner style, right through the guards, and pretty much flattening against the door, and becoming a pancake, Looney Tunes style. Him puffing himself back up by blowing on his thumb, and him getting back up, basically the guards punching at him, and him turning into, or transforming into a green version of pretty much Roger the Rabbit. Basically him jumping upwards and pouncing on both of the guards' heads, knocking them out cold. Now basically they try to get out. Now, as they're about to leave, or as, Robin's about to hack the door, basically, Black Beetle shows up and starts straight up just folding them. Now he sees a new saying, "Who is this guy?" Basically, Mask saying, "I'm your worst nightmare." Basically, starting to make Chinese sounds, sorry, basically taking out yellow nunchucks that are the size of little mallets, and basically just starts swinging them towards Black Beetle. Black Beetle feels these pretty much torpedoes are just grinding into his body, seeing that this being, his powers are greatly more advanced than a Scarab can possibly get. But he uses some of his abilities to pretty much pin the mask to the ceiling by, the same things that he pinned Impulse to the wall after Impulse tried to suck away his oxygen. Basically, Impulse being knocked out, and the rest of the team pretty much going up against Black pretty much Beetle. Now, basically, Mask phases, or sure, just mimics this Flash's moves, mimics out of the pretty much, the pinning that's hanging him up on the ceiling, and falls back down, pretty much right around, pretty much Black Beetle, basically doing the same technique that pretty much, Impulse was trying to do, but actually succeeding and taking away the oxygen from I'm pretty much, Black Beetle and winning. Basically, Black Beetle is confused and basically is saying, how is this happening? Basically, Mask saying, I defy logic itself, buddy. Basically, drop kicking Black Beetle down to the ground, saying, that's all, folks. Basically, make it a huge world-sized mallet, making the top of the mallet, like, point out of the world, kind of like a Looney Tunes style, and about to slam it down, but Black Beetle punches a hole right through the Mask's chest, like right through it, and it's blood gushing everywhere. And basically, the Mask says, you hurt me. That's so, well, sad that you think you could hurt me. Basically, Black Beetle is confused because he literally has the Mask heart in his hand through his chest. He looks at his hand behind the Mask's body and sees that it's just a toy heart. And basically, the Mask says, I literally say no to damage. And the Black Beetle feels something different and looks down to his hand, seeing that his hand just went right past, pretty much the Mask. The Mask saying, I literally defy physics itself, buddy. Basically, him pretty much head bumping Black Beetle. Now we can switch back to pretty much Lagoon Boy or Black, or pretty much what was it? We can switch back to Lagoon Boy. Oh, sorry, not Lagoon Boy. We can switch back to Black Manta checking up on his son. Basically, seeing that his son is in a comatose state since pretty much Megan did a whole entire psychic thing on him. Now after we get a little scene with Simon and pretty much Black Manta checking up on Aqualad, we can switch back to pretty much Black Beetle fighting the Mask and the rest of the team. Now the Mask pretty much is slapped away by pretty much Black Beetle, saying this is preposterous, shooting a huge cannon blast towards Blue Beetle and Robin. They dodge out the way, and pretty much, Jaime starts to fight with Black Beetle more and more with his blade back and forth. Now, eventually, Black Beetle's winning from a long shot, but basically, Mask steps in and mimics the abilities of the Scarabs, turning into a green Scarab more humanoid than the Martian green Scarab. Basically, him running towards Black Beetle and hitting him with a huge, cannon type thing, blasting right through him. Now, basically, the Black Scarab is able to regenerate from that, and basically goes for a huge cut, slice type of move towards, the Mask. He cuts the Mask in half, but the Mask regrows new legs and pretty much regrows the suit around his body, saying that is all you got. Pretty much his other half being disintegrated away into dust. Now, basically, him being whole again, him just running around left and right, side to side, basically Bruce Lee style, and started the trade of just mimic pretty much karate moves on pretty much Black Beetle. Black Beetle sees nothing happening, and basically, Mask says, wait for the big one. Basically, him pointing a finger gun towards Black Beetle. Black Beetle saying, is that all you got? And pretty much him saying, yeah. And basically, a huge burst of wind goes right towards Black Beetle, pushing Black Beetle out of the building when Mask, does a little thing with, the finger gun. Basically, him being blasted out of the building. Now, basically, Mask gets up. Mask, runs out of the room, pretty much mimicking the moves of Impulse and Flash, mixing them together, and also mixing them with the speed with pretty much, what was it? I think mixing the speed of Flash, Impulse, and Roadrunner, basically becoming a god speed of some sorts, faster than the Speed Force itself, basically burning the ground underneath him, and running right towards Black Beetle, saying, that's all I got. Basically, him grabbing, Black Beetle from the throat, and about to, pretty much take out a big mallet, and it's about to hit him when, out of nowhere, he shoots a huge plasma cannon right towards the Mask's chest, pretty much blasting the Mask out of the order into a wall. Now, basically, pretty much they try to get out, and pretty much Blue Beetle grabs Mask or Jack on the way there, pretty much Ronald style, trying to get away after Black Beetle is trying to gain his composure back up after he blasted or used a lot of energy to blast Mask off of him. Now, basically, Blue Beetle talks to Impulse saying, "How are we gonna get out here? If I if I grab Robin and fly out there, can you grab Arsenal and get out here?" Impulse says, "Fast, not strong." Basically, him saying, "What about Mask?" And pretty much Impulse saying he's knocked out cold. And pretty much Jack opens his eyes, but not in real life. He opens his eyes in a mindscape, and this mindscape is the head or the spirit of the Mask. Now he looks around, and the Mask pretty much starts talking in a limited voice, and the Mask appears itself as a physical form that Jack can, pretty much, comprehend. Basically, the Mask appearing itself in, the mental space as pretty much a green version of Bugs Bunny. Basically, he looks towards pretty much, Jack saying, "You're knocked out. But don't worry, I'll bring you back into reality in a couple minutes. All I need from you is, well, a deal." Now, basically, Jack says, "What do you mean, a deal?" Now, he says, "Well, the deal I want is, well, I want full control. And for full control, I'll give you the abilities of the mask without you putting on the mask itself." Now, basically, Jack looks at the mask saying, "No, why would I ever need that? I already have the best both of worlds. I have the mask and these abilities, and I'm in mostly full control." The mask yells and saying, "I want full control. I'm sick and tired of these users using me and me only having just a little bit of control over them. Just me able to, enhance their emotions and stuff like that and their inner, demons. But nothing more. And I want more." Basically, Jack says, "No, you're not getting more." Basically, Jack's smacking himself saying, "Wake up." Jack wakes up seeing that, Black Beetle is fighting the rest of his team while he's on the ground. So basically, he wakes up seeing a green beetle of some sorts and Black Beetle basically standing off on each other. And basically, Impulse, Blue Beetle, Robin, and Arsenal are looking at all of them, being confused on, pretty much Impulse saying, "How many colors do these guys come in?" Basically, Mask wakes up and basically gets back up. Jack taking out, or basically just summoning huge, like cloud type blades, basically throwing them towards both pretty much Blue Beetles and smacking them away. And basically, Black Beetle looking at at the Green Beetle. Now, basically, the team is watching pretty much Black Beetle and Green Beetle fighting each other. Now, basically, Mask comes up behind them saying, "What's going on?" And basically, Nightwing, no, Robin comes to the conclusion that the Green Beetle is a Martian watching its fighting style. Basically, the Green Martian tries to psychically connect with, Robin, saying that's it. This Green Martian is the Green Martian or the Green Beetle of Martian. Now, the Blue Beetle or the Green Beetle of Mars. Now, basically, he gets blasted off by pretty much, the Black Beetle. Black Beetle sending him into some cornflakes. Black Beetle setting the cornflakes on fire, putting Green Beetle in a fire circle. Robin makes a plan and tells pretty much Mask try to just keep extra fighting style. If anything goes sideways, just use all you can. Just use one big move to try to take down Black Beetle, and just stay back here for now. Basically, Mask just watching, summoning, or just making a cheer, like a whole entire straight up. I would say Game of Thrones type of pretty much throne, just appearing it and taking it out of his pocket, throwing it down to the ground, and then growing in size and him jumping onto it and summoning a box of popcorn, saying this is gonna be fun. Him watching the whole thing. Now as Blue Beetle and Green Beetle make a plan, they pretty much set their sonic cannons onto Black Beetle and take him out. Pretty much almost ripping off his armor and damaging his armor greatly. Now the Bash gets off his chair, making his chair just disintegrate or just disappear, kind of like a poof motion. So basically, he walks towards them, saying, what happened?" So basically, him saying that was the most coolest show I've ever seen. Him throwing another box of popcorn in his hand, saying this is gonna be really fun. Now, basically, he takes out his phone and takes a picture of Black Beetle on the ground, saying that's a pretty good souvenir. I'm gonna have to print that. So basically, he puts his phone back in his pocket, and everybody else looks at him like it's crazy, but they just go on with their mission. So basically, Green Beetle is told by the Scarab that he won't be down for long, and basically Mask says I can help with that. Mask taking out a blanket and very much them being confused, and he throws a blanket on top of Black Beetle, but the blanket in a couple of hours is going to turn into a metal similar to basically vibranium, so strong that and so heavy, pretty much a metal that's so heavy that it'll keep Black Beetle down even as Black Beetle is back in commission. Take a Black Beetle at least 6 hours to get out of the heaviest blanket on Earth. Now basically, you know they get out here. Blue Beetle and Green Beetle and Mask and pretty much everybody else getting up there as fast as possible, saying we gotta run. Basically, they show up at the Kent House barn. Basically, Nightwing saying thank you, Mr. Kent, for using your barn, because we just can't, compromise taking this Green Martian fellow to our, base or operation, because we already lost too many of those. Now she says it's okay. Any excuse to meet one of my boys. Basically, patting her boy on the back. Now, basically, Blue Beetle, Arsenal, Robin, and the Green Beetle start talking to each other. Now, pretty much Green Beetle explains to them everything and how he took control over the Green Beetle or the Scarab with his his Martian anatomy and all other stuff. So basically, he leaves after Nightwing says thank you for your help, all that. Now Green Beetle doesn't leave yet. When Nightwing walks off, basically, and pretty much Robin tells Nightwing about the whole entire thing at the mission and how the mission didn't go well because Arsenal set off a bomb and blew the whole mission off. But otherwise, the Mask or Jack was very helpful in the mission, and he was very successful in taking down or helping us through the battle. Now, basically, pretty much, and Nightwing is given the pretty much sample of the sedative or the pretty much stuff that the Hive is using, and gives it to Nightwing, saying, "I got some of the samples of the stuff." Basically, Nightwing saying that's all that matters. Now we can switch back to basically Green Beetle and Blue Beetle having a sidekick talk, and basically, and we get switched back to Reach. Basically, basically we get switched to Reach, and the Reach, talk about, the drinks and pretty much us getting hit off with like a cliffhanger of them talking about trying to assemble the metahumans from earlier, from episode 12, or the metahumans that the Reach experimented on as bringing them, basically making them a part of their team. I know it's getting switched off to the end of the episode. Now I'm gonna leave it off here because it's already been like 45 minutes. So now I'm gonna stop recording and have some, free time, eat some food, so whatever, watch a movie. I don't even know. So basically, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys like and subscribe. And as always, guys, have a blessed day. See you guys later. And as always, guys, comment down below what you want to see. Bye. Jesus. And as always, guys, have a blessed day.